Okay, hi everyone. So today, this is of course, the screen recording. It's not a live view. We tried to do the live view, but because it's our first time, we're still experimenting with that. But this is a very nice, one of the first trainings which we're gonna have with Mr. Manish from India. And Manish, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
So I'm actually from India, Manish here, and I've been learning photography and editing, and I'm here to ask two questions to Vrindavan, and I want if you could give us some masterclass on split toning and give us some enlightenment how to go about it.
Okay, so just let me add a little bit. So actually, Manish, he is very famous photographer and very skillful. Like he has so many masterpieces from different holy places in India. He's well known, and his work is magic. It's just he capturing the holy places, and he's been doing it for many years, and has amazing portfolio of like one of the greatest images I ever saw. So I guess today he's being humble and he's asking me this very simple question, which kind of simple, but at the same, of course, it can be a little bit tricky. And it's that one of these options where you can use to enhance your photography. So Mr. Manish, he actually kindly sent us a few pictures which we're gonna use, and now I'll also do have some my pictures which we can try on, but let's use his because we really want to see how it all works. So let me see, I have downloaded his pictures here somewhere. Let me just find it. 1 second. So here we are. We just downloaded those three beautiful images from Manish, and what we're gonna do now, we're gonna go to Lightroom. So I presume everyone knows how to import it. So the way I do it, just a bit different, but it's more simple for me. So I always drop the photos in a specific folder. My external drive has always the folder called photos, and inside I create a specific folder, which just basically gives the idea of what's this photos from, the type of event, or the name of the event. So I just created the temp folder, and I put those three images in there, and then what I'll do, I'll just drag them and then drop them into my Lightroom. I'm on the Mac, so I can do that, but of course on a PC you might not be able to do that, but you can always use the import option. So I'll always just add pictures. I don't move or copy them, because this way they can stay in the same. During my import, I always add a preset, which is I specifically created for importing. So let me find it. Okay, so it's called to import one. I mean, you can call it anything you want, but it's basically a preset which I always used for importing any images. And by the way, the Lightroom will remember this. So next time you try to drag and drop images into Lightroom to import them, the preset will be there automatically. You don't have to choose them, and then you'll be able to just apply it during the import easily. All right, so we're importing it now. Just waiting for that to come up. Okay, here we are. So this is one of the first files he sent us. Beautiful image of the cow. So as you can see, I'm switching to develop section of the Lightroom, and you can see that Lightroom preset which I use for importing automatically added some of the settings. So I can see this is before and this is after. This is very simple preset, and what it just does is just makes the photograph pop a little bit more. In this way I can easily understand if this image is actually worth working on or not, like that. So as you can see, this image looks very nice, and after a little bit of editing we will really get into nice beautiful image, and will be really masterpiece. So I'm gonna, of course, today's class is more about like a split tonic, but since we're using it at Lightroom, and there may be people who first time using it or want to learn a little bit more, so we'll just go through the basics. So basically, I'm not going to explain what I'm doing, but I'm just going to go through enhancing this picture as much as I think it needs to have, and then we'll go to the split tonic, which is very specific settings, which we're gonna go through over today.
So basically here you're using a brush?
This is not brush, this is the, what's that called? Second form? Radial filter. So it basically creates like you can create like any type of round shape and then apply it. So this is my round shape applies into middle. Why I do that, it's just, it helps to emphasize the subject. And if you really do it in a proper way, which is not putting too much in it, like you can see you can see the emphasis on the subject, but at the same time it doesn't look like you specifically added it. So it's kind of like, in a sense, like if someone like doesn't know what we done it, like we'll look at it and say, oh, it's nicely, the image, the main subject is really nicely lit up and like that. So that just helps to emphasize, and then you can even emphasize it further, but for this particular tutorial we're not going to do that. So I can show you what this is. This is before and this is after. As you can see, it's a slight improvement, but you can see it's emphasized the subject. Of course, the way I emphasize is with the light, because in photography, as you know, it's all about lighting. I personally love the flash photography. Why? Because with the flash photography, you can take it one step further in controlling the light, and then you use the ambient light, but also at the same time you add a flashlight to specifically light the subject how you want it. So in the Lightroom, we're kind of cheating in a sense. Why? Because we don't use the flash here, but we can use the post-production to put more light on the subject. So we could say we use like a flash photography light on that particular subject. So you can see it's like, it pops up. Anyway, so what we're really going to today is a split tonic, which is located here. And basically what it is what it actually does is paints in specific color shadows and highlights. So you can see it's actually describes here. So as you can see, there's highlights, there's shadows. So, and then you can pick the color you want for each of the highlights, and then for the shadows as well. So basically you will tell Lightroom, okay, I want you to paint all my shadows with this light. Okay, as you can see, when I'm painting it, see how picture changes, right? So and then if I paint I was painting highlights, now I'm painting shadows. So with shadows, I can paint it in any color I want as well, but it's not one color, it's a combination of those two things will bring very unique look. And then you can have unlimited looks. Basically you can have unlimited looks just because of you painting, you basically painting the specific color to highlights and shadows. But I mean, photography is all about shadows and highlights. There's shadows and highlights. So when we paint each of that in a different color, and then you can also even add how much the balance is. So if you want to balance this way or that way, you can see how image changes. So see, this is before and this is after. So I'm not saying every image I want to paint this way. You can play around in any way you want. And sometimes there's one split tonic works, sometimes another, but the main thing to understand is it will add very specific look to the photograph, like that. So as you can see,
every time you change, it's going to change the look of the image. Now, is there any tool or anything that you use, say some complementary colors, like I'm sure there are like the opposite colors
that's right, yeah. So normally you would use opposite colors, and blue and any type shade of the kind of red, or not red, it was more like what's it called, between yellow and red, orange. So some kind of orange. Another thing is you can swap them around. So let's say I'll do the blue on the highlights, and then kind of a orangey on the shadows. And you can see actually this is very typical type of split tonic combination. You can see this is a lot of used in the Instagram images. Like if you look, actually what Instagram images does is actually it uses split tonic. It may not call it the same, and then also this like in Instagram it's all like just automatic, you just add, but basically this is how it works. So it's achieved through this combination of painting highlights and shadows in different colors, like that. It's just in Instagram it's automatic, and then people can just add it like that. But yeah, so you can see that like so many combination, basically unlimited combination of colors and highlights. And of course, it all depends on the situation, depends on the photograph, depends on lighting as well in the actual image itself. And of course, if you have a photograph of the person, you have to take that into consideration, because you have to be careful with the skin tones. So the skin, you don't want to have a blue person or a green person, you know what I mean, like that. So so that's basically it. So you can see this is before and this is after. You see it adds very unique look to the photograph, and then I personally create like a presets based on that, and then later I can just edit. You can see there's I don't know, maybe not this one particular, but let me find I just want to show you. Okay, there's two. So see there's slightly changed. So if we apply this, for example, you see it has one split tonic, and then we applied the other one. Yeah, it has a different split tonic. See how pictures it changed in the color type. So what I'm trying to say is you can save these combinations of different colors, or you can save the split tonic settings and save it as a preset, new preset here, and then you can apply. Some photographers, they have very unique look based on that, based on split tonic. Okay. Yeah. So do you have any questions, Manish?
Yes, I was wondering if you could give us some information on how to choose colors in different situations, because this could be one example. But as you said, if you're working on somebody like a portrait or something, like on a girl or a guy, some human. So obviously we have to make sure that the skin is being intact, and we don't want any other colors to be on skin tone. So, and how much do we use the saturation in split toning in order to keep the balance? Because a lot of people, tend to use it too much or too less. How does that work?
In photography, I mean, with any art creation type of thing, there's no really hard and fast rules, and I mean, and it's hard to say how much, because the thing is, this is very personal preference. But of course, you need to. Any photographer will basically determine if it looks okay, or if it looks like too much like a, you know, type of what's it called? That type of art. What's it called? Modern art. Well, not, what's it called? Realistic? No. Post-realistic? No. That abstract art. What's it called?
There should be a term for it, but
Anyway, see, the photography, it's all about realism, like, showing the reality as it is. But of course, what the photographers do, they enhance that. So they make it more beautiful. They enhance what they see, like, So, but you have to be careful not to push it too much. You know what I mean? It's very important to have the balance. And the thing is, that comes with experience. That comes with experience. You can't just say, "Oh, this is okay." I mean, there's so many examples. Like, I'll show you some of the perhaps examples. Let's try to find one. So, for example, probably the best example is to show the picture of the people, because that's where sometimes people can make mistake or overdone it, and it's easy to overdone when we have someone with the face. For example, I'm just see if this picture is sharp enough. It's not sharp enough. Okay, so all right, so let's see this, for example, this picture, right? So as you can see, her face, the skin tones of her face looks quite natural, like if I would, and and it does have a split toning, but of course if I would overdone it, then you have, like, let's say you have a natural skin tone. So just remember, you have your highlights and shadows. So her face would be in either have the highlights or shadows. And if you use a split tonic in a kind of not thinking of her screen face tones, like here, for example, and it's all it's not really the screen tone she should have, like this is the original photo, for example, right? So say if we just painted it a little bit with just to make it brighter. So this is, see, this is natural skin tone, right? So that's how her skin looks like. So
yes.
So if we add a little bit of skin, see, the skin tone looks still okay. It still doesn't look unrealistic. So we add a little bit of that. See, it still looks good. So and you can see the picture has nice, beautiful split toning applied to it, but the face still looks natural. So this is before, this is after. Of course, I haven't added anything else to this picture, but as you can see, it looks natural. It looks okay. So yeah, you have to. I mean, you have to take that into consideration, because if you have the people in the picture, then you have to be careful of that. Of course, if it's just perhaps like just buildings or something, um, there's many ways you can express your creativity. Um, for example, this picture, um, let's say this is not just split tonic applied here, and then split tonic applied maybe in very heavy way. So if I would be a person sitting here, his skin tone would be like probably not really natural. So this is the original picture, and this is before. Of course, in this picture you also add tone curves, but we're not gonna go into this in this lesson, in this tutorial. So, but as you can see, there's a yellow, there's a blue, and so it's much more kind of I would say maybe not realistic so much, but for photography it could do the job. It still looks interesting, looks okay. I mean, the thing is it looks good, isn't it? What do you think?
Yes.
So I mean, this is more, yeah, yeah. So here basically I would say this is more artistic photo, or it's the creativity in post production been used, and then some artistic touch been added to it. Let's say, so this is a similar picture, I think. So let's say we can have different type of post production, and let's say I'll just show you what I mean is, and in this post production we can have, for example, just very, how to say, standard classical type of editing. So this is, for example, another type of editing where we just make it, very natural, and more even, let's say, classical way. So it looks nice, nothing wrong with it, but this is more creative type of post-production. But both pictures is good, and they are different, and then some people will like this and maybe don't like the other one, but the thing is, this is artistic expression. Now if we would have a people in it, and then if the people would look blue or kind of red, then that would be probably a mistake. I would call it a mistake, because we didn't take into consideration all the things which was in the picture like that. Is that make sense? All right, so let's just recap everything so far. So we use the split tonic. So let me find those pictures which we have from Manish. Okay, so we use the split tonic, and we just show you how the split tonic works, where you can find it, what's the different way of you can add the split tonic, what's the highlights and shadows, and how you basically you can paint them in different colors, and then the combination of that will give you a different look, and also you can use the balance here as well. So this is, of course, very basic understanding of split tonic, and if you guys have any questions, you can write in the comments, and then we can look into answering it. And yeah, so if the Manish doesn't have any more questions or comments, and
so I'd like to ask if people have any questions they could ask Ananta Vrindavan about split toning, because he has given us a lot of information about how it works, and I hope we keep on clicking, getting inspired by Ananta Vrindavan, and keep on doing our work. So thank you, Ananta Vrindavan, for being with us and explaining us, giving us time and explaining us how to go about editing and using split toning and it's so powerful. It does change the entire look of the image. So we're really thankful. Thank you so much for giving us time and teaching us how to go about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll see you guys again soon.